everybody, it's Safi and Marco, dish out on the movies. And today it's mostly me, but of course Mr. Peanut from the Peanut Gallery will be offering his opinion of what I say. But I'm doing a best movies of the 2010 to 2019 decade, in my opinion. Since Marco does honorable mentions, I decided to do a couple this time. I'll start with The Big Short. I didn't put the date. I hate to be reminded via a movie about the Great Depression recession we inherited from the Bush administration, but I'll never forget the day when there was little to no advertising, no shopping ads, no mail, no job listings. Everything just stopped. It was like where there used to be chatter, now crickets. This movie explained somewhat comically what that recession was about, how it came to be, and what it looked like behind the scenes and right in front of us. For example, whole new neighborhoods of new houses abandoned, lost because the occupants could no longer pay their mortgages. This movie is one of the 4 I favorited because of one particular actor, Christian Bale. He can do anything and be anybody. I told you Mr. Peanut would be contributing.
Safi, have you not learned your lesson? Jesus Christ, Safi.
Uncle, don't do that.
Look at Christian Bale's name. Look at his name. Now, do you see anything wrong, Safi?
No.
Safi, this has been the millionth time Christian Bale.
B-A-L-E?
He does not have a Y in his last name. It is not Christian Bale. It's Christian Bale.
Okay. I don't think people who are listening can see that, so I didn't put this in my top 10, but it was well done, but a little painful for me to watch and remember such a bad time. The last honorable mention, I only did 2, is Split. Split is another one of my honorable mentions. I wasn't a total fan of the movie as a whole, but James McAvoy's performance was outstanding.
James McAvoy.
McAvoy?
Oh my God. She has James McAvoy. MACAVEE.
Can you tell I had a COVID shot yesterday, my second one?
James
McAvoy. His performance was outstanding. He's a really good actor, and one of these days he's going to get a great big Oscar, maybe even more.
Who cares about the Oscars?
Well, I'm just saying somebody is going to recognize his performance with a little statue. Okay, here's my list of favorite movies of the 2010-2019 decade. What characterizes my list of movies? First, Christian Bale was in 3 of them. Now, I'm not talking about the honorable mentions anymore. I'm talking about the actual top 10. And also, the stories are interesting. One of the actors acting shows determination and bravery of the movie to achieve a goal. There's other things, but those are kind of my main reasons. So, number 10, because I'm starting from the bottom to the top, okay? So, number 10 is War for the Planet of the Apes. This is one of the 2 times this decade that I discovered the acting talents of Woody Harrelson, another very talented actor. Why doesn't he have an Oscar yet, or did I miss something? In this movie, he played a military leader who would destroy anybody who got in his way, including a bunch of superiorly intellectual apes. He looked invincible. No one could bring him down. except when he ignored the cloth surface of a doll, where viruses stuck around and were transmissible.
Wasn't he in the movie for like 5 minutes?
Just here and there.
Yeah.
But that scene in the end was pretty ew. Anyway, power in the name of a gun is no match for this highly transmissible virus. Was this a foreshadowing of what we have dealt with in the past year? Okay.
That's really dumb, Safi.
I have to do the next one now.
Okay.
Okay, number 9 is Black Panther.
Boo!
Don't do that. What people don't know is I am married to a cultural anthropologist whose specialties are Africa and substance abuse. I accompanied him to the country of Tanzania in East Africa, where we lived and studied banana beer, or rubisi, and konyagi, which is banana gin, and how its use in the Haya culture has changed from a cultural mainstay to a commodity. By mainstay, I mean the Haya have always made banana beer and used it in marriages, funerals, house building, etc. And the people made dishes and even houses, for example, out of the plant and or tree itself. I bring this up because I lived there and know a few of the nuances of one ethnic group at least, and one of our main informants was a king. Where we were, there had been 6 or 7 kingdoms, and they looked nothing like the ones pictured in Black Panther or a more modern recent movie, Coming to America 2. And women have always been treated like second-class citizens even today, although I believe they are the backbone of at least the country of Tanzania. So when Black Panther came out, I was all in, not thinking that maybe Africans in general wouldn't care for the premier, powerful visibility of women. One or two things, though, the movie showed that Africans being in control of their own destiny and not being dependent on some colonial power to survive. I thought the soundtrack was cool, too. Almost nothing but traditional African drums. On a side note, I think it's very sad to think that Chadwick Boseman must have been miserable, suffering from cancer and probable side effects from any treatment that he had been receiving. It breaks my heart that he passed away. He played a perfect king.
So basically, your reason for liking the movie is the soundtrack, and that's it.
No, that's not true at all.
Yeah, it is. That's all you listed. You said you liked about it.
No, I still think that...
I mean, you didn't say one other thing about the movie except for the soundtrack.
Well, I thought it was really good in that they saved... There's been several kidnappings over the years.
That was like one scene of the movie.
It was in the kind of near the beginning.
Really had no relevance to the rest of the film.
And they... of girls, and I guess I've read recently of boys too, in their schoolrooms. And these terrible rebels, and this is in Nigeria, this isn't Tanzania, okay? But Nigeria is on the western side of the continent of Africa. But
Safi.
Anyway, they saved a group of kidnapped people and let them go back to their place.
What about the movie?
The movie, I liked the movie, okay? I enjoyed it.
Okay.
And I think the people who live there would enjoy it too, even though I think they would laugh at how powerful women are and what like the women warriors, that one who was in charge of their, a whole group. I think they would like that, but I think they'd kind of laugh. I'm not sure, but they like movies. And when we were there, we watched this horrible Western in this filthy movie house. But I think they'd like it.
Okay.
My next one is number 8. It is the sequel to Guardians of the Galaxy 2017.
You mean Guardians of the Galaxy 2? Is that a better way of saying it?
I don't know, Marco.
Yeah.
It's the second one, okay?
It's Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Guardians 2 was a totally fun movie, even better than the first. I didn't see either one at first when they came out. It was only when Marco suggested I watch them to understand all of the Avengers characters, as also watched all the rest of the, like Iron Man and all those other movies.
You had to do your homework for the Brain Dead Infinity War movie.
Right. I thought it was a solid, entertaining movie, and I really enjoyed it. Okay, I'm on my next one. Number 7. The Dark Knight Also Rises.
It's called The Dark Knight Rises, Safi.
Okay, 2012.
It's not Also Rises.
Right. This was sadly meaningful in so many ways. The night we saw this movie...
We
saw this, Marco, movie-going changed forever. And where we were, the movie theater showed the first 2, and then finally this one. At the start, I was bleary-eyed, and meaning at the start of this new one, and it was the third one we were seeing, and we'd already been in the theater for hours. I didn't think I could take sitting there for another few hours, but it was so good, and the soundtrack featured some amazing music. And Christian Bale gave an amazing performance as Batman. When we heard about what happened in Aurora, Colorado, some POS crazy intellectual who used his grant money...
That has nothing to do with the film.
Who used his grant money to buy weapons.
Get that out of here.
And kill people watching this same fantastical Batman movie.
That has nothing to do with the movie.
Be
Fuck
quiet.
off with that.
We watched on the same night. It made me sick. On the heartwarming side, Christian Bale, who didn't have to, but he went to the hospital and visited the survivors of the shooting.
Oh my God!
Okay, next.
The fuck does that have to do with anything?
See, I told you, Mr. Peanut.
What does that have to do with the movie?
Well, it makes it more. It makes it even more memorable in terms of history.
That doesn't change the fact that movie is a piece of shit.
Okay, Marco, let's not cuss because.
What? You're not saying anything about the movie that's good.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was horrible that Batman got hurt. I mean, he was like a bag of bones, and he couldn't walk, he could hardly move, and he used his grit and determination to climb out of this hole, and it was a huge, deep pit to get, and he tried over and over, and he'd get farther and farther to get out, and he did it. And I just thought it was really, it was unbelievable. And then it was really, I mean, the whole place, Gotham, was like being torn apart. And it was horrible. But he defeated the bad people, and that was it. I'm on number 6 after Mr. Peanut had to make this horrible, expletive-filled commentary. My number 6 is Vice, 2018. This was an excellent movie that featured Dick Cheney, portrayed by Christian Bale. If you compare the Batman character to Cheney, then this performance was totally amazeballs. Just stellar. In a million years, one would never believe that the two roles were played by the same person. Another thing about this movie, it presented a foreshadowing of what we dealt with in the last 4 years. Okay, I'm on number 5, The Irishman, 2019. Nothing like the coming together of famous actors who have worked together in the past. De Niro, Pacino, Joe Pesci, and director Martin Scorsese. What an unbelievable project. Although this was a quiet yet deadly movie, it was solid. Al Pacino gave an amazing performance as Jimmy Hoffa. He actually made me feel sorry about his death. In other words, it made him human. This is coming from someone who grew up with parents who decried the likes of Jimmy Hoffa day after day, complaining about his criminal behavior and his thugs. But the reason I bring up Pacino's acting, because he played Jimmy Hoffa, is that he had so much energy. He is almost 80, and you never would have known it in this movie. He had more energy than any one of those other actors combined. Okay, I'm done. I'm right, my opinion. I don't know what the problem is.
You said Christian Bale's performance was amazeballs.
Okay, hon. I'm on number 4. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 2019. I think another thing about this list is that 2019 seemed to be one of my favorite years. Not everybody thought this was such a great movie, but I was in high school when this happened. The Manson murders were a big deal, and these murders and learning about a cult was big news. I'd never even heard of a cult. This movie showed what it looked like, the cult, and what they could do, and we learned in real life what horrible crimes they did to people. But in this movie, it was like a fairy tale, what we all wished would have happened to them. But the movie had 2 parallel storylines, where the cult and a cowboy actor, Leo DiCaprio, and his best friend, stuntman and fixer, Brad Pitt. Not sure that's the right word, fixer. And Brad Pitt's unbelievably well-trained pit bull. How their stories, the cult and Pitt and DiCaprio's, fused together in the end, so the latter could do to the cult what we really wished had happened, and not what really happened. And Pitt won a Golden Globe and Oscar for his performance as a supporting actor. And number 3 is 1917. And guess what? It came out in 2019. Okay, this was a war movie about World War I. The positive about this movie is that it was a very simple story, where the determination of one man influenced the outcome, which could have been so bad. Sorry. With a lot of deaths. But he plodded on even after his best friend, I believe he was his best friend, was shot and killed. And his best friend was the one who was supposed to do this mission. But he took it up and he kept on. And not even the designated person who was supposed to undertake this task, like I said, remained alive to do it. So, I liked the camera work and the cinematography. It was unbelievable. And actually, I don't think, unless maybe, that scary movie that took place in the 80s, the camera work was ever such a factor.
The Shining?
No, the thing where, God, I wish I could remember.
Camera work?
Yeah, where they're watching the people and they're afraid of what they hear and see, and they're in the woods and it's dark. Well, anyway.
Well, that was Blair Witch Project,
yes.
In the 90s.
No.
Yeah, that was in the 90s.
I thought that was in the 80s. Well, anyway. Yeah, you're right. It is in the 90s. So, in the end, after this brave soldier went through all of this, and nobody talks during this for the most part, just a little bit, but it's just the camera work and the cinematography cinematography that reveal what's going on. And actually, that's kind of what watching a movie is about. Why even have a movie and not a book? Because it shows you things that you only can imagine when you read the book. So in the end, though, after he did these, he saved all these soldiers, thousands. He went to find the brother who was actually there where he ended up, of his buddy who had died, and he actually gave the time and told him about his brother's death. I thought that was really neat. Okay, I'm on number 2. We're almost at the end, and guess what? Another movie from 2019. This is Ford versus Ferrari. Not in a million years would I have imagined that a car racing movie would catch my fancy. This is from reading all these books I've read lately. And the 4th movie starring Christian Bale, where I think he can play anybody. And he was so skinny. He went from the overweight Cheney to the skinny race car driver. His friendship with Matt Damon was another high point of the movie. It's actually the first time I watched any of Matt Damon's movies since Good Will Hunting, which may shock people because I think he's been in quite a few. But it was a really good movie. The race, just all the drama. It was a very complete story. It was exciting. And their friendship stood out as a kind of thread that wove the movie together. So I really enjoyed it. So I'm almost done. Okay, number 1. Ding-a-ling-a-ling. Bad Times at the El Royale, 2019. I realize that there are not a lot of people who saw this movie, but you're missing something because it was really good. Just thinking about this movie made me appreciate it even more. All the different characters, the FBI agent played by John Hamm, the young man who works at the hotel, the African-American singer who is played by a Broadway actress, the guy who plays a Marvel superhero, who in this movie is a Manson-like cult leader, Jeff Bridges posing as a priest, but a former bank robber who now has developing Alzheimer's and unclear about where he hid the money all those years ago. And now he's looking for it, and he doesn't know which room it was hidden under the floor because of his forgetfulness. Then there's Melody Griffith's daughter, the actress who's been playing in this brainless set of movies about sex. And I never watched any of them, and I know her parents very well, but not her. But she did very well in this movie, I thought, in her character. So I want to give her props. They all were good. Anyway, her sister comes with her. She's actually has her captive, and she's been entrapped mentally by Chris. I think it's Chris. I hope I got the right Helm cult. And remember, Chris Helm, to me, he has played a superhero, Thor. That's all I've seen him do, but since then I've seen him play in a couple of Australian war movies somebody else in the house watched. So, but this was different. He played a cult leader, and he was perfect for the part. So anyway, this younger sister is so mentally captured by him that she kills for him when we don't find this out until the end. I mean, maybe the last, 10 minutes. And in another, interestingly enough, character is the hotel itself, which I believe is like a character because it hides a very dark secret. And boy, do I mean dark. And its secret is only discovered by accident because of an altercation between the big sister and the FBI agent. who unfortunately gets killed very quickly in the movie. All of these characters, with their personal stories, converge upon this hotel, making for a very fun, interesting, shocking movie with surprises, and I thought it was excellent. And guess what? It received no Oscars. That is a crime. And that is it. So I'm just saying, maybe you've seen and heard about all the rest of these movies, but watch this because it really is worth your while. And it's not a really long movie, but the music's really good. And in fact, that movie and the fairy tale movie with Hollywood and Brad Pitt and Leo DiCaprio, they share some of the same music. So it's about at the same time period, like an historic movie. So they enjoyed this. I know I have my own opinion, and I don't think I'm a bad person. I do have Mr. Peanut next to me, who likes to say bad things, but he has his own opinion, and we are not the same age. We are years and years apart.
Well, Safi, why didn't you put Pawn Sacrifice anywhere?
No.
Why didn't you put Foxcatcher anywhere?
No, that's depressing.
Why didn't you put Inside Llewyn Davis anywhere?
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, we just watched it this year.
We did?
Yeah, you loved it. It was the movie with that music in it. The music movie.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I just forgot about it, but it wouldn't have been in my top 10. I don't think. These movies meant something to me in certain ways because they're like a place in my history, and will have played a foreshadowing on what we've experienced and for the future. So to me, it isn't just about the movie, it's also about their place in history. And that's pretty meaningful. But also there's that one at the end, like I said, at the beginning, because it's number 1, Bad Times at the El Royale. I believe you ought to see this. I think Jeff Bridges is sick. He has cancer. And
God,
you better
Safi.
watch. I think you should watch it and appreciate his performance while you can. You just never know anymore about how long people are going to live.
Safi.
So I hope that you like or dislike, and I hope you subscribe. And we'll be back for another video. Bye, everybody.
Bye.